All right, today's lesson is about line symmetry. It's your last one for the week, and I will also go ahead and give you guys a spoiler. There's not a ton of lessons next week either, so you're pretty close to being done for the whole year of math. That's exciting. Okay, so line symmetry is basically any shape, if it is able to be cut down the middle, and it'll look like a mirror on the opposite side. That's kind of the gist. So let's look into what they say. It says a plane figure, that's because it's drawn on a plane here. A plane figure has line symmetry if it can be folded along a line so that the two halves match exactly. The fold is called your line of symmetry. So something can have line symmetry, and it will also have a line of symmetry, which sounds a little funny. Now, questions 1 through 6 just want you to tell me yes or no, but we're actually going to go a step further. And we're going to draw them as well. So number 1 and number 2 say, does the figure have line symmetry? Right, yes or no. So this is really just asking me, if I were to take this shape, if I were to cut it out, which I don't want you to do, and then I were to fold it on top of each other, would they look the same on both sides? And the answer here for sure is yes. Actually, the answer is yes for both. And I want to show you why. They're symmetrical, meaning if this was my oval, if I were to cut this paper in exactly half, I want you to notice a couple of things. My oval basically goes from this line to this line in a curve, and it goes from this line to this line in a curve, and those things are the same distance apart from each other. Same with this one as well. Now, if I were to have taken this shape and actually tried to draw my line of symmetry right here, you can notice that the curve goes from here all the way over to there, and this curve only goes from here to here. So when I folded this, it would only sort of match up kind of like that, which is definitely a problem. So again, line of symmetry is just kind of one of those things that you can naturally see, but I could split this one up right down the middle. That's a terrible line. And I can actually split it this way as well. So this one technically has 2 lines of symmetry. Now on number 2, I already told you that the answer was yes, and this one's got the exact same amount as that guy. If I were to fold it along this line right here from end to end, this would have no problem folding, and I can also fold it from here to here. But I wouldn't be able to fold it something like this, because although it looks like you could, this line would end up being way over here, and this line would end up being down here, and it wouldn't work correctly. So this one has 2 sets of 2 lines of symmetry, I should say. So let's look at 3 through 6 as well. Same deal. We want to see if it has any lines of symmetry, and if so, how many. So this one wants to know if we can fold it in half. Well, I couldn't fold it in half this way, top over bottom, because that won't work, but I could fold it from side to side. So yes, this one has symmetry, but this one only has 1 line of symmetry. For number 4, we've got a square, or rather, I guess also a rhombus, but technically a square. And this one's going to have definitely some symmetry to it, so we'll write yes there. And I could fold it not only here, but I could also fold it here. And this is where this one gets crazy. If you were to turn it on its side, I could actually fold it here, and I could also fold it here. Anything that's a square, anything that has even number of sides, can totally be folded a whole bunch of different ways. We're going to say altogether that this one has 4 lines of symmetry there, which is pretty cool. Now, number 5 is another triangle. So number 3 was able to be folded in half, but I don't think number 5 is going to be able to be folded in half. And the reason being, this one is an isosceles triangle, which means it has 2 sides that are the same length. But this one's a scalene triangle. It has no sides that are the same length, so because of that, there's no way I can fold it and make it work. Now, number 6 is a rectangle. Rectangles definitely have symmetry because they have, oh gosh, because they have opposite sides that are the same length. So because they have opposite sides that are the same length, when I try to fold them up, I will be able to create symmetry there. However, I can't try to fold it up this way, because it won't work that way. This little corner would end up being over here, and this little corner would have ended up being up somewhere over here, which would have been very odd. So that one will not work. However, it does still have 2 lines of symmetry. So if we look down at the next part of, I believe this is your next page, it wants you to go ahead and draw lines of symmetry. So it says a line of symmetry divides a figure or design into 2 matching parts. So kind of like these examples that they just showed you. And then it says a line of symmetry, oh, I already read that. So then if I were to draw this line right down the middle, I can see that this is 2 away, this is 2 away, this is 1 away, this is 1 away. No matter where I go from my line, they're all the exact same distance apart, and so because of that, I can make that work. But there's no way for me, for me to cut this going the other way. It just won't work. Now for the second one over here, if we draw this line right here, it's pretty easy to see that you can fold that over on top of itself. But this one actually has another line of symmetry as well. If you were to fold this along that line, you can see that these two would match up perfectly, and those two would match up perfectly as well. So that's another line of symmetry. I wonder, now it won't work, I was just trying to see if you folded it along this green line, the reason that won't work is because this will end up over here. You're basically going to get a mirror of this shape. So the green one would not work. So this one has 2 lines of symmetry. Now for number 7 and 8, it wants you to draw the line of symmetry in your figure or design. Now these two only have 1 line of symmetry, so go ahead and try to draw them on your own first. Take a look at it, see what you got, see where you're going to have the same thing on both sides, and also maybe do it lightly in pencil just in case. But number 7, your line of symmetry is going to be like that. Because if I were to try to do it this way, you can see that that shape's not going to be the same as the other side. And then number 8, same deal. We're just going to split this shape. Gosh, why am my line drawing so terrible? We are going to split this shape right down the middle. And because these shapes are the same, when they fold it, it'll be right on top of each other. Now number 9 is asking us to go back in time a little bit. It says, which figures in exercises 1 through 6 have more than 1 line of symmetry? Well, the good news is I already had you do that as we went. So number 1 had 2. Number 2 had 2. Number 3 only had 1, but number 4 had 2, or sorry, had more than 2. Number 5 had none, and number 2 had 2. So that answer to this question right here is that shapes 1, 2, oops, go away, 2, 4, and 6 all had more than 1 line of symmetry. For question number 10, it says choose one of the figures from your answer to exercise 9, and it wants you to draw the figure and draw all of its lines of symmetry. So it wants you to choose any of those 4 that we just mentioned. Why don't we draw the square? Because that's the one that's got the coolest one. So draw yourself any sort of square. I'm actually going to draw myself a bigger square. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then it wants you to draw all your lines of symmetry. So we already know that we can fold it up and down and side to side. And because this one is a square, I can actually chop it diagonally going that way, and I can also chop it diagonally going that way. But there's no other way, unfortunately, to cut it, or to slice it, I guess. Number 11 is a puzzled penguin that I don't totally want you to talk about because we already kind of briefly mentioned it. So I'm going to have you go ahead and come to 12 and 13. So I'm going to give you some time. You might want to pause this video after I give you the directions. So for 12 and 13, and actually I believe the next questions 14 and 15 as well, it wants you to draw the other half of your figure to make a whole figure or design with line symmetry. And then I'm going to ask you to go one step further. I want you to draw your other lines of symmetry. So let's do number 12 together, and then I will have you pause the video and try 13 through 15 on your own. So number 12 is asking you to draw this. So here's what I pay attention. Do you see how this goes 1 over to the left? So that means it's going to go 1 over to the right. And then it goes down diagonal 1. And so this is going to go down diagonal 1. And then it goes down 2. So you'll go down 2. And then it's diagonal 1. And then back to the middle. So you've just drawn that. Now this also asks you, I asked you to go a step further and draw all your other lines of symmetry. So you can totally have symmetry that way. And then, because these are all pretty straight shapes, you can actually have symmetry going this way. You can also have symmetry going that way. So this one is another one that has 4 lines of symmetry. You actually probably have more, but we'll stick with that for now. Okay, so number 13, 14, and 15, those are the ones that I would like you to try and draw on your own. So go ahead and pause your video while I turn the page. And then I'm gonna just go ahead and draw mine. Hopefully you paused. So again, one away, so one diagonal. We go over one. It looks like up one, so down one. Other side, boom, boom. Okay, so they should look exactly the same. Now this one drew me one line of symmetry, so I'm gonna draw, I think this one only has one more line of symmetry right there. Okay. And then for 14 and 15, same deal. So this was one over, one down, one over. And that one only has one line of symmetry. So that guy's done. And then number 15, I'm basically just going to draw the same shape on the other side. So it looks like I go, oh, this one's a little harder to draw. Looks like I'm going to have a dot there, a dot there, and a dot there. So let's see if that could maybe help me draw this one. There to there to there to there. Close enough, okay? And that's another one that only has one line of symmetry. So I'm going to have you skip 16 because you don't need to do it. I don't need you to cut anything out or draw anything else. So let me show you your assignment today. There's no more SAB pages to be done, but you can totally do your homework and remembering, or you can always go try to find one of those 3 IXL lessons that I highlighted for you, okay? Good luck!